Hey guys, long time no see. We're finally back with a new multiplayer game. Unfortunately, I had some technical difficulties. Also, our previous game got cancelled due to Prussia, Netherlands, and Austria quitting. Well, we had some issues with rules. Apparently, new players didn't really know them. And it all got really messy. Didn't have enough subs for them, so I decided it's for the best that we start a new game soon and just scrap the old one. Which is kind of unfortunate because I had a great run with Japan and was about to try to conquer India, well, to release it from UK, and then naturally I'll be probably split between Russia and me, even though I was enemy of Russia for a long time. Well, actually they attacked me, I never attacked them, so there you go. But anyway, now I'm back to Austria, playing the country that I really like, one of my favorites, along with Two Sicilies and Netherlands. In any case, this is a very interesting game because we already have 20 players, and there are many wars so early in the game. It's really hard to predict the complete diplomacy and stuff going over there. So I'm gonna start historically with the first war, which is started by USA and Canada against Mexico. Now, there will probably be several wars against Mexico for basically American expansion. It's mostly going to be divided by USA and Canada. Sorry. We have Colombia, Brazil, and Argentina as players over here. Now, Brazil is currently over the infamy limit, so I expect them to die or to be severely weakened in upcoming session, but we'll see about that. Colombia should be quite strong. Now, as you can see, there is a British USA. This happened mostly because UK claimed that they wanted to basically restore Commonwealth, which kinda did happen. Now, Gaku playing USA made an interesting choice, in my opinion. It was a wrong one, but hey, don't judge him. So what he did was he started a war with Mexico, sent most of his troops there, but then I guess he didn't expect UK to attack them. Anyway, once UK got here and positioned a few of their regiments there, he only sent half of his army to defend against UK and basically lost the war over there. I'm not sure if he would win the war against UK if he sent all of his troops, but I think he would at least have a decent chance, because UK lost a lot of troops just by traveling over here and due to huge attrition. Even though they had, well, they don't have Canada, so I guess their supply range is slightly worse, even though they have this. In any case, they won a war. It wasn't too easy for either side. USA didn't lose so much. I think they only lost 2 states. And Canada got into British sphere, which is still okay. Canada is suffering economically, but that's not a huge deal, I guess. So there is UK expanding over there. Not a huge deal. USA should still be able to grow, and if they manage to secure some deals with UK, which I think they already did, they should be in a pretty decent position. Moving to Asia, Japan had a very rough session in the beginning. They were attacked by, well, basically they attacked Korea, and then Russia intervened in their war with Korea, so they had to peace out. Now, the Busan region is a result of a later war, and I'll talk about that slightly later on because it was connected to European wars. We do have an Australian player, but he wasn't there for the first session. We'll see what happens there. I don't expect too many moves from him because Australia is kind of weaker in this mod, even though they are getting, I believe they're getting a lot of immigrants. It doesn't show here because the game is paused, so it's not really relevant. We have Persia over here. I believe they're also slightly over the infamy, 28%, 28.4. I'm not sure if anyone is going to attack them. They have strong allies, but yeah, they don't really have too many people to attack right now, so I guess they might try to drop their infamy so they don't have don't run the risk of being contained. And now finally moving to Europe and situation with Austria. Now I'm not gonna focus too much on the other players because, well, there are simply too many of them. I'm gonna focus on what we did. Firstly, our tech is suboptimal. Ideally, Austria, well, not Austria-Hungary, Austria, starts as military-industrial complex, so what my opening moves usually are is to go for medicine, so you can get that bonus from military-industrial, and then quickly switch to traditional academia and just go with all the culture techs, without aesthetics and psychology, which I think is quite useless. Well, aesthetics definitely completely useless, psychology decent, but not necessary. In this case, I had to switch and go for a few more industrial techs. Had to grab mechanical production because of machine parts. There was a huge lack of them. So now we can get some factories going. Also, had to grab army professionalism in anticipation of some early wars. So I was only able to switch to traditional academia in the last maybe 3 or 4 years, which seriously slowed down our technological progress, and we will see how I will be able, if I will be able to actually make a comeback from that, because it really hurts. As for the political situation, we are currently allied to Prussia and Spain. With Spain I have treaties, with Prussia I'm still waiting for him to sign, which will hopefully be soon. In any case, I offered Sardinia to give them Lombardia and later on Venice. In exchange for alliance, they accepted, even though we don't have a formal one, but that should be coming soon, rather, I guess, once they form Italy, they'll get it. Not really sure when they will be able to form it, but it should be rather soon, as they are already 11th secondary power, which means they are only 3 places from becoming a GP, and that should be quite possible in the next session. Anyway, France decided to declare early war on Prussia for Rhineland, basically using land-bank decision and snatching Rhineland quickly. Now they had allies in Russia, Ottoman Empire, and Romania. It was only Prussia, Austria, and Spain against them. So I managed to crush Ottoman and Romanian armies. Also sent some reinforcements to Spain. We managed to beat them here, but unfortunately Prussia wasn't able to hold a front against France and fight against Russia. I think 2 or 3 of their stacks got isolated and wiped out, so once my reinforcements came here, it was too late already, because their bulk of their army was crushed over here, and also because they had to send reinforcements from the west to the east, they also lost in the west to France. Even though we were pushing from the southern France to the north, it wouldn't have mattered, because I don't think I would be able to stop Russian hordes. Now the thing about fighting Russia is that if you're playing Russia, you either want to fight very, very early on, or you want to completely avoid fights. The thing is, this early, I don't have that tech advantage that you usually have over Russia, and if that comes in some 10 to 20 years, at that point it's really hard for Russia to fight, because they are so behind in tech, and if they want to compete with you in army techs, then they will lack some serious amount of research points, which will hurt them severely in late game. Which you could have seen in my previous Russian campaign. I did the opposite. I ignored military techs, which made me lose, Kiev and most of the European part, but in the end my industry was simply strong enough, and I was able to beat UK. I don't know if I would be able to beat Austria at that point, because Austria was very strong, but that's a general idea. You either go for early game, early domination, or you go fully for late game. You can't just do a mix with Russia, because they're simply lack tech and literacy. Now, as for our plans for the next session, we're definitely going to fight France and Russia once again. I mean, they made their intents very, very obvious and very clear. They're gonna attack Russia once again, maybe attack me. I lost East Galicia to them in the previous war, which I don't think it was very harsh for me. It's kind of okay. It could have gone much worse for us, so it's acceptable loss. As for my expansionism, we got few stuff in Egypt, mostly Sinai and Luxor, for research points, even though I haven't gotten anything from that. And we also have Java. Now, the story about Java is quite interesting one. Netherlands claimed neutrality in Europe if they were allowed to annex Belgium, and asked all the great powers to sign their treaty. Now, most of the GPs signed the treaty. I think UK, France, Prussia, and Russia all signed treaties with them, probably even Sweden also. And the treaty saying that they will won't be involved into any major wars in Europe, and they won't give anyone military access, but everyone else has to protect them if they are attacked by anyone in Europe. Or I'm not sure if it says that they would be protected in Asia. In any case, what they did was they noticed that Japan was very, very weak, and they still are, only 50% civilized. So they wanted to get Kyushu, which is here, and I guess expand into Japan, which is something Gurren did in the previous one. So what they did was declared war on Japan, called in UK. Now, fortunately for me, Japan had enough troops here to be able to at least slow down Netherlands. So I figured, well, Netherlands seems to be expanding over here, and I don't really like that because that's weakening Japan, and Japan could come useful if we need to fight Russia. So let's just help Japan. Now, Russia had a treaty with Netherlands, and this meant that I couldn't have reached Netherlands at that point without getting military access through them, which meant they would have to break the treaty with Netherlands. And that brings us to an interesting point. Well, Prussia actually decided to give me military access in exchange for an alliance. Basically, I will have to allow them to form NGF in Germany, which is kind of okay for me as long as Russia and France are scared of us. We're fine because I don't have to fight them, and as long as we don't have to fight, I'm completely okay with that because we could just focus on industry. But unfortunately, Prussia will lose some prestige and get a lot of infamy, which will weaken them a little. Not a huge deal. I think they'll still be able to make a comeback. In any case, I was able to win the war against Netherlands pretty easily. Like, they already had most of their troops over here. They got beaten by Japan. It was mostly even, but in the end they had to retreat. Also, UK didn't do much because UK simply had no transport ships. And besides of that, I'm not even sure how interested was UK in that war. I believe they weren't too much, so they didn't commit so much. In any case, that left Netherlands with only their European parts and very weak Asian colonies. Nothing much here left for them, so I assume that if Australia comes in, they might be able to snatch few things from them. Also, with Japan rising to power, we will see a very interesting sessions 2 and 3. Now, unfortunately for us, we're seriously outnumbered in Europe. For the upcoming session, it will be most likely just as the first one, just that we already lost some stuff, so we're even weaker. Prussia, Austria, Spain again against France. Most likely France, Ottoman Empire, Romania, Russia, and Sweden, like it was in the first one, with probably Netherlands joining them, I guess, like, because probably they want a revenge war against me. Not sure what Sardinia is gonna do. They're currently sphered by France, also allied to Russia, France, and UK, but those are probably all fake alliances. Maybe they aren't. We still have that trade. I mean, they could get Venice for free, basically, would they want to fight over that? I don't think so. So they'll most likely stay neutral, which will make us fight a huge war against Russia once again. Well, if we will be able to beat them, I'm not sure, but you can stay tuned for the next stream tomorrow and see for yourself.